In this video, we're going to take a look at using the Google LTI in Canvas and a couple ways that you can make your class a little more interactive and help students be successful by creating an organized list of assignments that will link them directly to the assignment that they need to turn in. This is definitely along the same lines as using a Bitmoji classroom. So if you've used a Bitmoji classroom before, you're already halfway there. And what we're going to do in this video is really just kind of cover some other options or get your brain moving about other ways that you could use the Slides application and the Spreadsheet application inside of Canvas. So to get started, I'm going to talk a little bit about Canvas. When I was talking with my students about one of the biggest challenges this year, they've said that organizing their assignments and kind of figuring out what's due in which class and when has been a challenge. Some things that they pointed out in Canvas that have been challenging is their to-do list. And as you can assume, if I'm a student and I have 6 different classes, I'm going to have 6 different pieces up here for each of those classes. So you might have math, science, English, PE, all in this to-do list, and that's a lot of different ways that students would need to switch their brain and think about those different learning spaces based upon what subject they had to do. So I felt like the to-do list might be a little bit challenging because it is a little challenging for me as a teacher to remember what I need to grade. The next thing in Canvas is the calendar. This was also something that students said was a little challenging because obviously on the right-hand side, you can select which calendar you want to view, but if I turn this one off, you'll notice the assignment is gone. So this is already, for me, quite a few steps for students just to identify what they need to do. And there's some room for error. You know, there's a lot of failure points in here where a student might forget to turn on a calendar and totally miss some assignments that they needed to do for that class. So the calendar for me was also not a great option. So what I wanted to do here is just show you an example of using a Google slide and also using the spreadsheet inside of the Google slide to give a student a list of all the assignments they need to do for their class. So this is my example here. If you've been using a Bitmoji classroom, this is already probably looking very similar, except instead of a list, you would have your Bitmoji classroom. And we're actually going to talk about how you can use these spreadsheet lists inside of a Bitmoji style classroom. But first, we're just going to kind of cover the basic concept. So what we have here is a Google slide. And if you're not familiar with the process to insert a Google slide into Canvas, I'm going to cover that really briefly with you right now. However, there's lots of information on the internet that'll show you how to do that, okay? So what we're going to do is I'm going to make a new page to begin with. Inside of Pages, I'm going to go to View All Pages, and I'm going to make a new page by clicking this button up here. And I'm just going to title this To-Do List Number 2. Because I have my other one in there already. So once you've created a new page and we've got a nice little title here, you're going to want to make sure that inside of your Google Drive you've already created a Google slide presentation that you're going to link to. Now this can be blank, it can be a pre-existing one, maybe it's your Bitmoji classroom, whatever you'd like. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and click on our Google LTI button underneath the option here and go to this guy. And I'm going to find that spreadsheet underneath the correct email account. And it's right here under my recent. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it and hit add and attach. So I've dropped that in right here. Yours might look something like this with a blank slide, or it could be your slide for your classroom. Since I've made mine already, it's already got the item in there. So I'm going to go ahead and hit save real quick. And now I've attached a slides presentation into a Canvas page. So now we're going to talk about why this is actually kind of useful and what you can do inside this slides presentation. So what I've done here is I actually have the slides presentation that you're looking at currently inside of Canvas. You can see it's got some columns and rows, and then there's assignments and points and dates. Now you are actually able to just create tables inside of slides, and you might already be familiar with this too. There's tables in here. The only downside for me with using a table inside of slides is, let's say I have a new assignment that I need to give my students, so I might need to copy this and change it to test 13, and then oh gosh, we need to make a new date, so I'm going to paste that in there. Oh, hold on. Like let's say I'm going to type this out here, There we go. And then that's going to be 150 points. So that to me is actually pretty labor intensive, especially if you need to do multiple assignments. And you could always insert rows below and then go ahead and type in chapter test. And, if you wanted to save some time, copy it in. But already I'm getting sick thinking about doing all that work if I had 3, 4, 5 different assignments I needed to add with dates and points and things. So what is unique about this is it's actually using Google Spreadsheet in order to bring that data into your slideshow. So this is what the finished product looks like, and I'm going to show you how you can do that here really quickly. So I have a new slide here built up is going to be our template. And a thing to note very quickly is if you have a new slideshow, you're going to want to make sure there's no items in it. Like a text box is one of the few things that this format doesn't like. So I'm just going to make sure there's no text box in here. If you're using your Bitmoji Classroom, you might just have to hunt around a little bit for a blank space. So you can see here, I've got this space, this whole white space here. This actually might even work on a Bitmoji background if you've made it a background. You just don't want any actually like elements. So any text boxes are bad. You don't want those. You want to make sure they're all gone. Not from your complete slideshow, but just at least have a blank space you can use. So what we're going to do is go into Spreadsheets here. And you can see I've already actually built out some parts of my spreadsheet. I've got the assignment title, the points, and the due date. So we're just going to copy this range here. So I'm going to highlight it all and copy it. We're going to come back into my slides presentation, and I'm going to paste. And you'll notice this dialog box appears. If you've done it correctly, this should show up saying, do you want to paste a table link to spreadsheet? Now, if you had a text box in there, it'll actually just paste the spreadsheet and get all garbled and kind of crazy. So if you paste it into your slides and this box shows up, you've done it correctly. So I'm just going to click paste, and now you can see my table has been linked to my slides presentation. Now, this isn't something super exciting yet, but one of the huge benefits to doing it this way is now this table here is linked directly to the spreadsheet. So let's assume I need to adjust the points for my projects. You can simply do all of that located here. And now I've changed all the 50s to 100. And if I come back into my presentation, you'll notice in the top right, an update button has appeared for the table. So if I click update, it updates all of those rows and columns that had the points. And it'll do this the same for all the other cells within this table. So a big benefit is if you have a Bitmoji Classroom, classically, if you've done it this way by putting a table, you could accidentally click on some of the pieces or items in your Bitmoji Classroom. But this way, you don't really have to touch anything inside of your slideshow presentation. Just make sure you update it on this side, and then click the update button that appears above the table. And then you don't have to worry about accidentally moving things around in your classroom or clicking on a link and removing it or replacing it. So some of the problems, some of the cumbersomeness of that is gone using it this way. So I have some other examples to kind of show you what's going on here. This is in my class, and this is kind of a little closer to a Bitmoji Classroom. You can see on the right hand side I have my table embedded in here as a to-do list, and then all these other links are available. So if we did it classically, you can see here these are all clickable. So as a teacher, I might accidentally click on one of these links and move it around. So one of the big benefits of this is now I don't need to worry about coming in here and trying to type in and change all these pieces of the table. All I can do is just wait for that update button to show up here once I make some changes in my spreadsheet, and all those updates will appear in here. Now there's one more thing I want to point out about using the spreadsheet insert style of the Bitmoji Classroom is, let's say I want to create a new assignment in my spreadsheet. So you'll notice here I've got new assignment created, and I've linked it to the Canvas assignment in Canvas, and that's something I did forget to mention. I've actually built an assignment inside of Canvas. I've taken the URL here at the top, and I've actually linked it to the text in the cell for that assignment as well. So this is actually clickable for students now. If they click on it, it'll take them directly to the new assignment. So they don't have to hunt around in Canvas. They could just see the to-do list, click on the links, and it'll take them directly to what they need to work on and turn in. So one of the things I want to point out here is this does take a range of cells. So if I were to go from 1 to 9, it would only give me these to paste into my slideshow. So if I want to add a new assignment here, or maybe I need some more rows, all you need to do is come in here and make sure you highlight those extra rows, copy it, and then just repaste it into this section over here. You can delete out the other linked one here and go ahead and paste it in again. And you'll notice that new row is now added here at the bottom. That's a great way to add new rows. Let's say your assignments tend to grow here. So you'll probably want to add new rows eventually. So easy way to do that. You can also do it by adding blank cells down here at the bottom. So notice my range is extended to 12 and I've got some blank cells. So I'm going to copy that here as well. Go back in, remove the one we just pasted, paste the new one in, link it again. And you'll notice there's some blank cells down here so you can have a little bit more room to work if you don't want to come in and update it a whole bunch. So I hope you found this video helpful. I hope it sparked some ideas on other ways to use Google LTI and Canvas, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.